Okay, 4 o'clock, I'll call the meeting of the Kerr Economic Improvement Corporation to order. Do I have any volunteers for an invocation today?
I'll do it.
Maggie was getting there.
I was getting there, but I was
You don't get a choke on your peppermint.
I know.
Join with me in prayer. Father God, we just come before you today asking for your wisdom. You're with us in everything that we do, but we pray especially for your presence today. So many worrisome things happening in this world. We know that you're in control, and it's our lack of knowledge and understanding that confuses us. Help us make good decisions today. Let us show compassion and wisdom. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Do we have anybody signed up to speak at the Visitor Citizens Forum?
No, sir.
All right, well, we'll move on to item 5A. And I'll entertain a motion for the approval of minutes from the EIC meeting held on April 18th.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on the minutes? None. If you approve, please raise your right hand. Those are approved. All right, then we move on to KDC. I think I got a notice that Gil's out of town, but Teresa's with us. We'd rather see you anyway.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. So thanks for having me here today. Like you said, Gil is out of town, serving on several IEDC board and committee meetings this week. So it's an honor to be able to present our update for you. So May has been an extremely busy week, or a busy beginning of the month for us. And that actually started at the very first week of May. We were a panelist at the ACOG Economic and Development Forum. So we had the opportunity to talk about programs and initiatives that we developed during COVID to build, for our pandemic response, but also to build resiliency throughout the pandemic and after. So it was a great opportunity to meet with leadership that we hadn't been present in person with for quite some time. During that meeting, we also had the opportunity to meet with AJ Rodriguez, who is the, I'm going to get his title right. He is with Texas 2036, and he is the Executive Vice Director for that Texas 2036 program. So anybody that's not aware of that program, their organization was born out of the love of Texas and a recognition that long-term data-driven policies and ongoing vigilance are required to ensure what we enjoy as future that sustains, expands opportunities for all Texans. They do that through very data-driven approaches and strategies. So we have the opportunity to invite him to come into the community. So he will actually be the speaker for our June 9th Industry and Education Roundtable. So we'll be sending out some additional information and invitations for that. We're really excited to be able to have him talking about legislations that's already been passed, but initiatives that they're pushing forward, specifically because we're coming up on that 88th legislation session that begins, in January of 2023. Also during that Economic Development Forum with ACOG, we were able to reconnect again with lots of state partners. So Kate Stanford was there, who's our business relations liaison, as well as Roxanne Newton, who is with the Texas Agriculture Department. So we had opportunity to get a lot of great information about new grants and things that are coming out in the programs, as well as talk a little bit more about our upcoming Business and Innovation Forum and the Small Business Forum through the Office of the Governor. Then on Saturday, I had the opportunity to go to the Hill Country Rural Leadership Symposium, which was hosted by the H.E. Buck Foundation and the Hill Country Alliance. Through that, I'm really excited to say that I was able to connect with several people in leadership in Real and Uvalde, and they are actually going to be participating in this year's Top 40 Awards. So we're now up to 11 counties that we've opened that up to, and that will be participating in that award. So, and the majority of those 11 counties are rural counties. So it's really exciting to see that program building and the recognition happening for each of those counties. Also, the beginning of May, we were part of the DLI economics class at the Diedrich Center. So there was a pretty small group, but it was actually really cool to get the opportunity to talk to some new people within our community, some new members of the community, as well as see some, Mr. Mosier was there from the airport board. So we had a really great mix of people. It was a great conversation and opportunity to talk to them about how our initiatives are helping strategically and sustainably grow our community. So lots of great comments and questions. They were very engaged, and that was awesome. Last week, we hosted 2 of our 3 workforce and career signing events. So Tybee held theirs on Wednesday, and then Ingram was on Friday. The recipients or the recognitions of those career signing days were kind of, each school decided to approach this a little bit differently because it was the first year. So Tybee recognized students that had completed graduation with certain certifications and were entering the workforce in Kerrville. So they had someone coming into the KPD dispatch center, someone that's opening their own welding business, and then the third was plumbing for Plum Right. Thank you. So it was great to see that group of people convening and celebrating those recognitions. At Ingram, it was a variety of, again, different students that were not necessarily entering the workforce, but were proceeding after graduation with their certifications to pursue vocational trades. And so they recognized students that were going into dental assistant school, truck driving school, and welding school. So great that they'll be going off, getting those certifications, and hopefully returning home to pursue those jobs within Kerrville. May 19th, which is next Thursday, we will be at Centerpoint High School, where they're doing their workforce and career signing days. They are choosing to celebrate or recognize students that have, again, graduated with some kind of certification through their CTE programs. And those mainly represent ServSafe manager and culinary certifications, as well as welding. So this is all part of our initiative, one, to look at our talent pipeline and continue to build that, looking further back even to middle school, developing those programs to help retain our talent, our young talent in the community. This kind of helps get our community on TWC radar a little bit more, so that if we would like to help the schools pursue JET grants, these kinds of initiatives and recognition really help with those efforts. At the symposium, I also had the opportunity to meet Dr. Craig Rotter, who is the Executive Director for Texas Rural Leadership Program, and he has happily accepted one of our speaking engagements for our Business and Innovation Forum that's happening at the end of October. So again, this year we have been approached by the Office of the Governor to partner with them. They're going to be doing their business forum in the morning, the first half of that day, and we'll host our Business and Innovation Forum the later part of the day. We are scaling it back a little bit more based on information that we received from last Business Innovation Forum, but we're really excited to be able to still have a really great program and just consolidate it into one day, and we will be hosting that at Schreiner University. So additional registration and sponsorship opportunities will be posted on our website, and that should come out towards the beginning of June, so you can look at that information as well. We also, I think Gil talked about this probably at the last EIC meeting, but we had the opportunity to meet with Ricky Rendon, who is part of the Texas Workforce Solutions Vocational Rehabilitation and Service Business. He is their business relations coordinator for this particular region. We were able to give him a little bit of a community tour and talk to him about programs that they're developing specifically geared towards assisting those with disabilities entering the workforce. So we've posted that information and how we access those programs. That's available on KerrvilleTogether.com. We're excited to continue to be building that website as a resource for our community, for job seekers as well as employers. It's a really easy matter of getting me those job descriptions, any interest, and to be able to put that out there and have it as kind of that centralized location. And then lastly, we will actually be at the Texas Workforce Forum, and that will be on May 23 and May 24. So a lot of the Texas Workforce Commission representatives that we've actually been able to host will be participating in that forum. And we're excited to hear more about the programs that they already have in place, but also ones that are going to be coming out, rolled out again to help us address our workforce issues. So May has really been about workforce, which I think is kind of what's happening across the world, really. But we're really focusing on that and really trying to be a little bit more proactive about building that talent pipeline.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could take an opportunity to just praise the work that Gil and Teresa are doing. This pivot, this adaptability to pivot in a time when we can't really attract new businesses because we can't house people and there's a labor shortage, to take advantage of this time to really build our existing workforce and those close relationships between the school districts and the kids and our existing employees. It's just been amazing how quickly they've ramped this program up. It's a good thing.
Well, we're excited to be able to do it, and it's particularly where my passion lies, so it's exciting for me to work on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.
All right, we'll move on to our next item, 6B, the project status update. Mr. Hopper, you have any updates for us?
No major updates today. We'll obviously have an agenda item a little bit later in regards to KILLDEER Mountain Manufacturing. And so everything else is progressing. We're making progress on item number 1. Should be wrapping that up in the month of June. And I know Peterson is working hard in regards to putting their plans together for their campus and about to drop some building permits on that regard. So.
Good, great, thank you.
Hello, it's Erica Power from Manufacturing. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. I'm not sure if we're supposed to be up next or if we're still in line.
We've got a couple other things to address before we get to you, so we're almost there.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on next to the monthly financial report.
Hello, good afternoon.
Go.
Okay, so April financials. Okay, so starting on your statement activities and looking at your current period and columns to the right here. So we had your April sales tax coming in at $314,000 for the month, and that is a 19% increase over April 2021. Keep in mind that this is for February sales. So last February we had Winter Storm Uri, and there was places that were closed for about a week or so. So we're comparing those things, so the gap's going to look a little bit larger here. So year to date, you're at $2,696,000, and we estimate you to be near $2,294,000. So you've met that by $402,000 for the year so far. Same top contributors in sales tax with retail, food service, manufacturing, and wholesale. And just seems like businesses are still coasting along, even though they got inflationary factors and supply and demand issues, but things are still going. We have received May sales tax, and it came in at $442,000, which it's pretty flat with May of 21. We just got the comptroller report in today, so we haven't dissected that quite so much, just see what the outlier is or what's going on. Now moving on down to your revenue for interest. April earned $1,437, and that's about $590 more than last month. And you know interest rates are going up, so we should start seeing an uptick in those coming in for the rest of the year. So there's a good chance you're still going to meet that budget. I know we talked about reducing that, but it's looking good. And moving down to your expenditures, you had your monthly administrative fees to the city for $16,000, the second quarterly payment to KEDC for $78,000, and then your debt transfer out of $90,000. There was no activities in the projects for this month, so your net change in position is $130,000, and then the overall year to date is $1,316,000. Okay, your next slide here is the cash flow forecast. And first column is the year's activity, October through the end of April. So the bottom of first column, your ending cash balance is $4,055,000, and that's sitting in tax pool. Your sales tax and interest income have been updated with about 12 to 13% growth on sales tax each of those months. Just looking at for now, we'll update those every month. And interest income, we've raised up a little bit, just that we see everything's coming in a little bit stronger. We have your budgeted expenditures and the projects for the rest of the year. And then please do note down below debt service, you have a new line for investment purchases. So in May, we made a short-term investment into commercial paper for $1 million. We bought it at a discount for, what is that, $990,000. So you're gonna earn $9,200 on that piece. It's gonna mature in October. It's gonna be after the close of the fiscal year, but just trying to work every little avenue we can and get a little bit more revenue coming in. So we'll still be booking interest for you every month. It's just gonna be recorded as a receivable for the moment because we won't receive it till once it matures. And then your bottom row there is your anticipated cash balances for the rest of the quarters.
Do you know who that commercial paper was from?
Yes, sir. It was, the piece was a Credit Suisse, S-U-I-S-E, New York.
And the term of it?
A 6-month commercial paper. Our investment policy only allows us to go up to 9 months on those, and this was a shorter term. I wanted it try to mature before the end of the fiscal year, but I missed the response time, so you just gotta get them as they come in.
So what does that yield on an annual basis, like around 2%?
This is a 185.
Good.
Okay, your last slide here is your financial analysis, and just the top chart is your remaining project commitments. Your second one is the same sales tax with the budget, the actuals, and the comparison to last year. And the bottom one is your tax pool. $4,055,000, that was earning 30 basis points average yield for April, and today it's earning 65 basis points. And that's pretty much all that I have for this month.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, our next item on the agenda is to set our annual meeting for June 2022. And so I will move that the EIC's annual meeting take place on, what's our June date?
June 16th, I believe. Just double check.
Should be the 20th.
20th, you're correct.
It'll be our normal third Monday,
Okay,
unless you want to do a different date.
no, that's fine. So I'll move that the EIC's annual meeting take place on June 20th, 22, and that if approved, this vote has the effect of our written consent. Can I get a second?
June the 20th?
Yes, sir.
I second that.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If you approve, raise your hand. Okay, that carries. All right, our next item is to discuss a lien holders agreement between the EIC and Dakota Bank concerning monetary grants and loans issued by the parties to the KILLDEER Mountain Manufacturing, Inc., Prairie Gold Real Estate LLC, and an amendment to the Economic Development Grant and Real Estate Purchase Agreement. And I believe we have Darren Bullinger, who is with Dakota Bank, and Erica Bauer, who is with KILLDEER.
So, Chairman, I'll just give a brief introduction. As you recall, fall of 2020, the community moved forward with an economic development incentive agreement with KILLDEER Mountain Manufacturing. That is a multi-decade agreement. Since that time, they've been in the process of moving into a temporary facility and ramping up on their operations. And Ms. Bauer will elaborate on that. And as you all recall, you were able to take a tour of that earlier this year. They are also, in parallel to that process, working on their permanent facility inside the city limits close to the airport, and are in the process of moving forward with a construction loan. They've developed plans, gotten those plans bid out, and we'll talk through a little bit about that when we get Darren on the line. But in the interim, wanted Ms. Erica Bauer, President of Operations for KILLDEER, to just brief you guys up on a really good news story, which is where their trajectory is going on kind of the macro level of the business. So, Erica, go ahead and take it on from here.
Sure, so I'm going to start with the presentation. Is that up for you guys to see, or did I need to share it over Zoom?
There we go, it's on.
Okay, so the first slide, is just what we're talking about today, KILLDEER Mountain Manufacturing, our Kerrville, Texas branch, and our commitment to excellence on Texas Hill Country. So there's a picture there of Texas Hill Country, and then the Badlands, which is not very far from KILLDEER, where we started. Slide number 2, the brief history of our company. We were founded in 1987 in KILLDEER, North Dakota.
We're having a lot of trouble hearing you. Can we make any improvements to the sound?
Is this any better?
A little bit.
A little bit. We're going to check on our end to see if we can do anything to improve it.
Okay.
It's about the loudest he can go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, how does this sound?
Better.
Better? Okay. So we were founded in 1987 in KILLDEER, North Dakota. So that's a picture of our KILLDEER facility where I'm at today. And then as of today, we have 431 employees, and that's across all of our locations, 3 in North Dakota, 1 in Texas. And we do circuit cards, wire harnesses, and fiber optic assemblies, and higher level panel and box electronics assemblies. What we're doing in Kerrville right now is wire harness assembly, so that's what you'll see for those of you who have been to our facility. Slide number 3, our company mission, with people as our foundation to create high reliability electronics careers supported by the pillars of quality and innovation. And our company vision is to provide quality careers to empower families and communities. Then moving on to slide number 4, we'll start talking specifically about what we have going on in Kerrville. So that's a picture taken just this morning of some of the employees at our Kerrville facility. We have 39 current full-time employees, and that's new jobs created in Kerrville currently. And that includes 7 new employees who started today. We typically have 1 or 2 new training classes every month. We have 7 more immediate openings for Kerrville. And we have plans to start a weekend shift this fall, which will be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for those interested in that, where they can work 36 hours, get paid for 40 hours, and have full-time benefits. And we estimate we will have at least 65 employees, full-time employees by the end of this year. Slide number 5. Just a brief operations overview for Kerrville. Operations are going more smoothly, and we're growing much faster than we anticipated we would be able to, which is great for us. Hopefully great for Kerrville too. We received our aerospace AS9100D certification in February with 0 audit findings, so we take a lot of pride in the quality of our workmanship and the quality of our processes and the quality of the people that we employ. We're currently shipping multiple assemblies on a daily basis for the Boeing 737 aircraft out of Kerrville. And Boeing wants to grow KMM and our share of the 737 wire harness work by 100% or more, almost fairly immediately. Boeing is looking to onshore some work that's been offshored to to a foreign nation for several years and want to bring it back to the U.S. and want to bring it to K&M. They want us to start phasing in work immediately, and they want it split specifically between North Dakota and Texas. Boeing is having a much larger presence in Texas. They're growing there, and they want to grow us with them. And so they're requesting that we grow by 125 plus more employees this year than we had planned for. So that's a big ask from a big customer. This is what we're facing in our immediate future. Slide 6, our equipment in Kerrville. We've currently invested $1.5 million in equipment at the Kerrville location. And we just purchased an additional state-of-the-art wire cutting machine that is about $700,000 that's going to be delivered to Kerrville in October. That'll more than double our wire cutting capacity. And then we have another about $200,000 or so in hand tools scheduled for purchase in the next 12 months. So just wanted to give you an idea of what we've invested currently in equipment for, specifically for the Kerrville location. Slide 7. So as was mentioned, we're currently in a leased facility. We've been working on this plan with Kerrville and the EIC to move into the permanent facility on Airport Road. But as a company, we couldn't wait for that facility to be done. We needed to get into Kerrville immediately. We needed the expansion. We needed the growth. We needed the employees. And you know, the best way we thought to move forward was to lease the facility in the interim. So we're currently leasing about 20,000 square feet from Alan Johnson on Cobbler Lane. And K&M invested about $250,000 of improvements into that building. We renovated the bathrooms, the break room. We installed an air and electrical grid, improved lighting, network cables. We have secure entrances now for the safety of our employees. We're in the process of putting in, laying a gravel parking lot in the back for more parking. We need more parking pretty quickly here. And that lease ends September of 2023. And that's just a picture of, from the front of the facility, just to kind of give an idea of what we've got going on. It's getting pretty full in there. Slide 8. So I have 2 slides talking about our permanent facility. So the pictures there, the top one is a picture of inside our Dickinson facility. So we're going to make the facility in Kerrville mirror the setup we have in Dickinson. So that'll be very similar to what you will see in Kerrville once we get the permanent facility renovated. And then that bottom picture is just from the architect drawing, just showing kind of a panorama of the building from up high. That's about 40,000 square feet so far. User was able to get a demo permit, so they've done some roof repair, done demolition and cleanup. If you go in there right now, there's lights strung, just waiting for us to start renovations. It's all clean, ready to go, to do those renovations and get things put up. We need to do full reinforcement of the structure to increase the load-bearing weight. A lot of that's going to come from all the HVAC we're putting in. It's really important to us to give employees climate-controlled environment, heat, air conditioning, keep it comfortable for them. We're going to fully insulate and finish the interior with liner panels, so it's going to look very clean, very nice. And we're going to have multi-stall bathrooms, do a complete air, electrical, lighting grid, have an extensive network grid, secure entrances at all entrances that's accessed using an RFID badge for employees, a large break room. We love to have potlucks and events with employees, so it's important to us to make sure we have those amenities for them to do that. We'll have a new parking lot, and overall, you know, our vision is the same as it is every facility, to be very safe, clean, quiet, climate-controlled, ergonomic, and lean. So we want to get good utilization of the space and have it be a really good experience for all the employees. Slide 9. This is just the second slide talking about our permanent facility. So far, K&M has invested about $690,000 into the permanent facility to date. That includes the architecture and engineering work, all the drawings, and all that work that goes into just getting ready to get a bid. We work with Bandera Electric to get increased electrical service to the site, so that's part of that. We've bought some HVAC equipment, and we've also purchased the steel and the insulation for that facility to try and cut down on construction lead time. So this is what we have invested, even though we don't have financing secured for the full renovation. We are 110% committed to making this work, that we've gone ahead and put this money into it, knowing that we're going to find a way to get this financed so we can get going. And then Schreiner University will also have their own 5,000 square foot enclosed space within our facility. They're going to have nice big windows so they can look out into our production space. And they're going to have engineering and science lab classes mainly in that space. And students will have access to our production facility so we can do some collaborative engineering projects and internships. Of course, KMM is really hoping that turns into a nice pipeline of future leaders, future engineers for us. And I just wanted to say Schreiner's been great to work with. They've just, just been so good to us, and we're very excited about that mutually beneficial relationship with them. The architectural and engineering drawings are complete. User construction bid is complete. I think Darren will talk a little bit about that. And we have room for a planned 20 to 30 square foot expansion, which we're planning for approximately 2028. So it'll be building a whole new section onto that building. And then over on the side, I just put all the people that we worked with to get to this point. User construction, of course, been great. Our architect, GT Architecture, CW Structural Engineering, Wellborn did our civil, and then Obernell did our mechanical electrical engineering. They've all been fantastic on this project. And then slide 10 is our last slide. Our company wants to reiterate how committed we are to Kerrville. We're established there. Even though we don't have this project nailed down, we don't have the financing nailed down, we got down there, leased the facility. We have people there that have bought houses, hired a lot of local people, kids in the school system. We've invested a couple $1 million in equipment and improvements to facility. And we are in desperate need of more space as quickly as possible. Like I said, Boeing approached us a few weeks ago and said, hey, we want to grow you guys, we want to double your size on this aircraft and bring some work back to the U.S. That I think maybe they realized wasn't a great plan to offshore it. And, so what they love about KMM is our customer service. Last week, Boeing needed a cable. We built it same day, put someone on an airplane. They flew out to Seattle and hand-delivered it to Boeing. And that's what they're looking for, someone to be their partner long-term, to give them customer service and the quality that they need to keep these airplanes in the sky, keep them safe, and have on-time delivery. And then I just listed a couple other programs that we're growing on, the E-7 aircraft and the corresponding airborne warning and control systems for the military, the F-15, fighter jets, the P-8 Poseidon sub-hunter and torpedo launch system. And then we talked about the commercial, the 737 and also 777 aircraft that we're on. And then last I have on their Air Force One, we have a big chunk of the Air Force One wiring project. We're going to be getting more. Boeing's going to give us another large chunk of that, and they're going to have us come do work on the aircraft in San Antonio. So that work will be run out of the Kerrville facility. So we've got a lot of opportunity on our doorstep. We're itching, raring to go. We're ready as soon as the financing is ready. We want to hit the ground running. It's going to be about a 12-month construction project. We are going to grow out of our facility. I'm really worried we're going to be able to not grow out of our leased facility before that 12 months. But we'll make it work, and we'll do what we need to do until we can get into that permanent facility. But we're ready to go, and we're committed. And hopefully that kind of gives just a good overview of where we're at right now, where we came from, where we're going. So I guess I'll just open it up for any questions. I do have Doug Bettick here with me. He's our financial controller. I didn't know if anyone would have questions for him or for me, so we're both here to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? No, thank you very much. Appreciate that presentation.
You're welcome.
Erica, do you want to introduce Darren to
Sure.
talk through the deal points in regards to the lien holder agreement?
Sure. Yeah, so this is Darren Bullinger from Dakota Bank. So Dakota Bank we've been working with for many, many years. They've always made everything work for us. They've been fantastic to work with, great customer service. And Darren is in the Fargo office, so on the other side of the state from North Dakota, but he's been integral in helping us try to finalize this financing. So Darren, I will hand it over to you and let you kind of explain Dakota Bank's position and what we're hoping to accomplish.
Thanks, Erica. What I was asked to do to start out, and I believe it was sent out to you, the board on Friday, what I'm referring to is a quick little Word document. It's got the Dakota Bank logo over the top there. I was asked to kind of recap what the difference was from when this originally was approved to what has changed and, you know, where we're at today. And basically, I know you guys, you've probably all read this, but in essence, what happened is that there was an initial proposal as far as what was needed to get this building up to the specs needed for KMM to be able to produce their product at the level that they needed to for Boeing. Once everything got in place, it was realized by the contractor that was engaged at the time that it was above his skill levels. He wasn't able to do it. So there was a new request went out. They got a new general manager, or I should say general contractor, came in and looked at the overall project and realized that to be able to meet the architect specs that is required from or requested from to complete this building, it just couldn't be done at the costs that were originally proposed. So the project was rebid and the costs increased significantly. Overall, what we looked at from a banking perspective is how to put together a financial package that allows not only this building to get where it needs to be at, but also to assist him in on bringing in the equipment that they're going to need, immediately and down the road. So the first thing that we looked at on the real estate is how to establish this, and we looked at the commitment that came from the EIC, and there's two loans, and I have them summarized in here. Basically, the commitment that she came in at was like about $2,044,000. To be able to get this to where it needs, we went from an initial request from the bank of $2 million to initially just for the real estate alone, an additional $2 million on top of that. So we're a little over $4 million into this. If you combine the commitment that we have asked for from what's been asked from Dakota Bank and what's been asked from the EIC, you're looking at a total loan package of $6,120,000 is outlined in my write-up there. We have the building reappraised, and I did send in the executive summary. I think that's part of your packet also. Basically, with this real estate and then the lot they have next to it, that's going to allow them to expand even more down the road. The appraisal came out at $7,650,000. How we came up with our number, and in conjunction with yours, what we wanted to do is to have a strong loan-to-value position in regards to real estate, not just for the bank, but for the EIC. So and we wanted to come in with a loan to value at 80%, and that's how we came up kind of with our numbers moving there. If you look at that table that I have in there, you'll kind of see a breakdown of that. There's probably going to be some additional costs. We know that going in. We also know that that there's going to be equipment needs. So we proposed another term note where we're going to do, in essence, an equipment loan. So it'll be separate from the real estate. And you'll see that on that table that has been sent to you. It's $1,980,000. That's the initial one. That will get everything up to speed on it. We did have another request from KMM for new equipment requirements that they know that they need down there, and that was the additional $900,000. So overall, this project went from basically initially around a $4 million project to now a $9.4 million project. Initially, what we came in at is we were in a junior or subordinated position with the Dakota Bank to the EIC, and the initial request that we have from the EIC is that we feel very, very strongly that what we would like to do is come out of that junior lien position. We have approved our loans for the real estate portion, for the equipment, the loans for the equipment portion, contingent upon us being in, and is outlined here, a parapursuit position with the EIC on a pro rata basis. I think Mike Hayes, we had on Friday, we had a meeting where we had the attorney that we've engaged in Texas along with Mike Hayes, and we went over some bullet points. I believe there's some bullet points that were shared with the board out there. So I'm hoping we're looking at the same document. But in here again, in regards to the parapursuit intercreditor agreement, it is stated in there that we're asking to be in a parapursuit or shared first position with the EIC. Based on a pro rata basis. There's some other language that's kind of bullet pointed out too that will maybe clarify some things. That's something that Mike wanted to have in there that allows to be able to have more recourse, have that outlined and have language in there that has it more detailed. And the language that our attorney has proposed and submitted seems to be okay with Mike at this point. I'll let them do their jobs. So the main thing in regards to the intercreditor agreement is a request again to be in a shared first position on a pro rata basis with the EIC. The other things that we want to look at too is in regards to the grant agreement between KMM and the EIC. One of the things, and some of these is a little bit of semantics, but you know, I noticed in Erica's last slide where she talked about the fighter jets and had additional things that are looking down the road. There's a definition that says required use, and basically what it does in the agreement is it's stating that this is what KMM is going to be doing in that building. And basically it says manufacturing and assembly of circuit card assemblies and cable and fiber harnesses for the aerospace industry. When I first read that, that is so very, very specific. And it made me reflect back to, and I'm dating myself, this is a very, very long time ago, but at one point I had managed, I had financed a company that manufactured floppy disks. If I go to my kids today and ask them what a floppy disk, they don't know what the heck I'm talking about. And there were some grant dollars that came into that organization to help finance it and get it going. Now, they were student up as they went by, they realized that they were manufacturing a product that's probably going to be replaced or obsolete, and they did a wonderful job of changing their tooling to be able to make sure that they were an ongoing concern. They kept their business going. They did a really good job of that. They were doing really well, and then all of a sudden we had an audit go through, and somebody from the state came in and said, "You're out of compliance because this says that you should be manufacturing floppy disks." So the consideration that I'm asking of the board here is to allow us to use a little bit more generic information. It's not changing a whole lot of things, but it eliminates down the road that, I mean, this commitment in this grant is for 25 years, I believe. Things might change down the road, and they might be manufacturing things that they do. We don't want to have them limited or have to go back and revisit this. So the request is, again, to make that a little bit more generic from manufacturing and assembly circuit card assemblies and cable and fiber harnesses for the aerospace industries to simply manufacturing and assembling components for the aerospace industry. Just that simple. We also wanted to look at when we looked at there's this very specific table as far as job creation goes that has to be, and it starts with 2021. But in the language, it says that actually the job creation doesn't start until 120 days after the completion of the construction. So this is out of sync, because they're not even, close to the construction that needs to be going. This is the reason why we're in here for. So I see a conflict in here, and I'm a little concerned that something might get out of whack here. I'd like to have that reconsidered. Now, one of the things that they have is for 2021, the job creation on here is supposed to be 15 FTEs. And when I talked to Erica, one of the things is there's two, if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong, Erica, but there was 2 employees that were created that were actually down in Kerrville, and then there's 14 more that was created. And if the board will allow those FTEs that were created down in Kerrville at that time, that gets them at 16, and they meet this requirement for 2021. We can move on then, I think, from that. 2022, the FTE requirement is 40, and as Erica stated earlier, they're already at 39. So I think they're confident that they'll make that. It's just that I think this is just out of sync. And so we can look at other options to be able to address how this is out of sync, but in my opinion, probably the easiest way is to recognize those other FTEs, so they're at 16. They then make the 2021 requirement, and we can just move on from there. If there's other methodologies or something that you do, please let us know. Also in the grant agreement, one of the things that we would like to consider is kind of gray, and I had a good conversation with Mike Hayes on this. And I'm going to use round numbers. The commitment that the EIC has to this project is roughly $2 million between the 2 loans that you have. Okay. In the agreement, it says that if those FTEs aren't made, that it's less than 85%, that then what would be the annual payment for that obligation plus a 2% interest rate needs to be paid on an annual basis. And that comes to about $128,000. What the request is when we look at that obligation of $2 million, if we put a value say $128,000 payment on this or whatever, like a standard note in time, that principal amount gets reduced, right? Because they're making the payments. And it's not real clear in here, but talking to Mike Hayes on this, and our attorney, we still think the spirit of it is in here. The ideology is like any type of standard loan that you have is as the principal is reduced, the KMM then increases their equity in it. And what we want to be able to have is as much equity build up as they can in their location down in Kerrville, because as Erica pointed out in her PowerPoint, I mean, they're just going to keep growing and growing the relationship there. We want to be able to part of that future financial package with them. And if that equity is there, it will open up more doors and more things that we can do for them down in the future as far as financing goes. So the proposal that I threw out at the attorneys, and they seem to think that we do that, is if we would simply attach a simple amortization schedule list that illustrates that there is a reduction in that principal amount as they meet that FTE increment. It's almost equivalent to that payment for each year. Shows how it reduces over a period of time. Then there's no question on the gray area. It lays it out really easy and simple. So that's one of our other requests that we have in here. I just think it allows us to do things in the future more. It's in the best interest not only with KMM, but it's also in the investors' best interest of what they want to do in the city of Kerrville. I think at this point right now, I'm on a lot of committees. I'm on a lot of economic development committees too. So I tried to get this recap down to 1 page. I spilled over just a little bit. I wanted to make it so I actually wrote 10 pages and I wrote it down. So if there's details in there, either I can answer them or Eric can answer them. In regards though to the bullet points, I believe Mike has produced something to you that has the bullet points in regards to the lien agreement and lien holder agreement, and then also the grant agreement. And that is the majority of the questions we have at this time for your consideration.
Does anybody have any questions for Darren? Okay, thank you, Darren. Anything else, CA, on this so far?
This is available for executive session if you guys want to discuss it in there.
So I believe what I'd like to do is to retire into executive session, and we can have some further conversations with Mike, who's...
I am sorry, if there's anything that's addressed to us, Eric and I can't hear what you got that's being said right now, so I don't know if there's a question out there.
No questions right now, Darren. Can you hear me?
Maybe if you're up there.
You guys move into executive session.
Darren, I think we're all good. We're gonna recess into executive session. If y'all want to just hang tight, and then when we come out, if there's any other questions, we can address them then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll move that we go into executive session under sections 551071, 17, and 87 to discuss both this lien holders agreement as well as workforce housing development projects.
Second.
All right, we are adjourned into executive session. Okay, it's 5:20 and we are out of executive session with no action items. And Darren and Erica, EA will get in touch with you guys to kind of let you know next steps moving forward. Are there any other announcements or items for future agendas?
I think they heard you.
Can y'all hear me?
She's looking
I
around.
don't think they, I think it has to be that microphone.
Yeah.
Erica and Darren, I'm going to get back with you on direction from EIC and next steps. We're all good for now. I don't think we have any questions from the EIC for you guys. Anything further? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'll give you guys a call right after this, and we'll talk about next steps. Thank y'all so much.
All right.
I get a bonus round,
You're gonna
right?
bang the gavel and adjourn. Oh, did you? I didn't hear you. Now I heard you. Now I feel adjourned.
We thought you banged it to end the executive session.
Oh, I may have.
Break the gavel.
You're right. We are adjourned.
Get all your.